I was going to edit out the beginning, but I decided against it because it's real talk, real women. Enjoy. It's looking better. I see your picture.
I think we're in luck. Oh,
I need a sedative.
I tell you, that was an act of Congress.
Oh, I feel like I know you already. How are
Yeah,
you today?
I am well. Now, is it Sharon?
It is Sharon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Um,
atypical spelling.
my parents, blame it on my parents.
You know us. You know us. We're
Um,
gonna get creative.
yeah. It's in our DNA.
Yes, yes.
You've been doing a lot of interviews, correct?
Yeah, a few, yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to try not to ask you the same questions over and over again. I'm going to
It's
try,
okay.
but I'm sure I will.
Yeah,
Okay.
no
Um,
worries.
I'm thinking 30 to 40 minutes plus
Okay,
minus 10,
okay.
as long as it feels good.
I that sounds great to me. And this is audio only, right?
No, it's
It's both.
audio and video.
Okay.
And
Good deal.
you look wonderful.
Let me sit up straight. All
All right.
right.
Yeah, this is recording.
Yep, absolutely.
And it is truly a pleasure to have this opportunity to talk to you.
I am so happy to be here.
Okay. And you are Lisa Cunningham.
Yes.
And we're here to talk about me dot period.
Actually, we're here to talk about me, period, if you want to start it, if you want to say it again.
Oh, there's no dot between the,
No dot. Yep.
okay, just me, period.
Me, period. Yeah.
Got it. But you have an interesting story. And I know that you know someone who always says everyone has a story.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in hearing a little bit about your story.
Absolutely. Gosh, if you had told me 15 years ago, Sharon, that I would be sitting here talking to you, I would have said, there's no way. There's absolutely no way because I was entrenched in the entertainment industry. And I mean, we're talking about produced and directed over 1,500 music videos, TV promos, all of the things. And I don't know. I call it my mountaintop moment. One day I woke up and I just simply said, this is not the legacy that I am going to leave on this planet. And I said, I'm going to use my powers for good. I came from an extremely, I came from one of those families that was waiting on me to come home. I call myself like the prodigal daughter, like, come on home, because it's a family full of academics, community organizers, things like that. And so, yeah, I finally came home realizing that I could use my talent for storytelling and
Right,
marketing and merge the two.
right.
And then let me tell you something. When my mother started to age, I became her caretaker.
Mm.
Now, we come from a family that could afford the proper care, but
Mhm.
I would be sitting in these lobbies chatting it up with folks that did not have my same circumstances or our same circumstances. And I just started thinking about how broken our healthcare system was. And little nuggets, just kept getting planted. And my sister's a pharmacologist, so she would plant things. And all of a sudden, I really got interested in Black women's health.
Mm.
And that's kind of the full circle. I like to call it the remix because I started in the entertainment industry. So I feel like my life is just a song remix. And it's just been a beautiful journey. Now being a part of the Black Women's Health Imperative.
Yeah.
I mean, that organization literally has just changed my life.
And did you meet Billy Avery after making this switch, or did you know her before?
I met her after making the switch. So
And I
I,
should I should just stop you
yeah,
briefly because you kind of said that really fast, but
yeah,
that's a big change.
it is.
For many people, this is like a dream job. You know, you are a producer, director of music videos. It doesn't sound any more Hollywood than that.
Right.
It sounds wonderful. And for you to say it didn't fill you. It didn't,
Yeah, that's it.
yeah,
Well, you know that phrase. It no longer served me,
right,
right?
right.
And
And you saw a greater need.
yeah, yeah.
And you
And
were,
I'm going to tell you something. This is real. And I don't know how conservative your audience is, but I will say this. Yes, I worked with all of them, from your Missy Elliott's to your Gladys Knights, and what I realized was that I was staying in that world because I felt like that's where I was accepted.
oh,
So when you grow up a little queer girl in the South, and mama and family are in Jack and Jill and these sorts of
thank you.
very conservative historic institutions, you start to think, hey, I don't have a place there.
Oh, interesting.
And I struggled with that for many years. So that the entertainment industry, it was for misfits, right? I
Interesting.
was hiding in plain sight.
It's a
Truly.
coming out party.
Every I could come out every week in the entertainment industry.
Right. So you were hiding. You were literally hiding.
I was in plain sight.
That's interesting. Okay.
Now, now fast forward. You set that intention. So I started in my brain saying, I got to transition, but how do you do that? And so I set that intention, and a buddy of mine called me and said, Lisa, we'd love for you to produce this video for one of our heritage Black newspapers in Atlanta, the Atlanta Voice. And I said, oh, wow, that would be a wonderful opportunity. The editor went to college with my sister, it was just, it felt like family. And so I said, I am going to do this video, and I am going to do it the best possible video I can produce.
And can I
Uh,
stop you there? Because what your skill is that you're able to tell a story.
yes, that's
Whether
it.
it's pictures or music or the combination, your ability is you can tell a story.
Wow, that's it. In corporate, they say the transferable skills, right? And so I produced this video, and it was going to be premiered at a big gala, and everybody from the mayor was going to be there. I mean, this thing was celebrating, 40 or 50, I'm trying to remember now, but years of the newspaper. So I pull up to the location, dressed for the first time in a full-blown men's suit. Okay. Terrified to get out of the vehicle
Hmm.
because I dressed like that, but I was born biologically. I was assigned at birth. I'm she, her, and still am to this day, right? I just happen to dress like that. So I'm scared to get out the car. I wait about 20 minutes. And finally I said, Lisa, you're here. The valet was like, what are you gonna do? So I finally pull up, get out, And when I walk in, I saw people I knew who started congratulating me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've missed the video. I've missed the video at this point. So I run into a man, an older gentleman. Now stay with me. An older gentleman who walks up to me enthusiastically and says, I couldn't wait to meet you. It was the husband of the editor. And he says, first of all, let me ask you, how do you identify? I said, wait a minute. What planet am I on that a man of this age is going to even ask me a question like that? So I said, sir, I'm she, her all day long. He said, well, girl, you did your thing on that video. It literally, Sharon, it almost brings me to tears talking about it because from that day on, I was free.
Mm.
I was free. The grace.
Is it because someone acknowledged you the way you saw yourself?
Yes.
So no
And,
need to
and it,
hide.
no need to hide. And if a man that age can do it,
Anybody.
anybody can do it.
Wow.
And I've been free ever since.
And
And showing up in spaces as my full authentic self, telling great stories. And that's why, when I finally did get introduced to the Black women's health imperative, these things happen in little steps. So it was time, right? It was time. I had marinated. You marinate that food, and yeah. So I was ready finally to kind of start fulfilling those bigger parts, I think, of my destiny, which is why, I'm able to talk to you today. Yeah.
And I think we wouldn't be doing it justice if we didn't talk a little bit about Billie Avery.
Oh my gosh.
But I should tell you that she was an unknown to me
Okay.
for a very long time
Okay.
because as an allopathic medical doctor, OBGYN, I wasn't in that world.
That's right.
I was in the world of white male doctors
That's right.
who took away
Woo.
obstetrics from midwives, who started to promote surgery. I was in that group where you had the father of gynecology, Sims, that was experimenting on Black women. And it took a while for me to understand, to know that all along there was a group of women working for women's reproductive rights.
Yes, yes.
And one of the leading leaders was Billie Avery.
Billie Avery, who, to get your audience up to speed, is the founder of the organization I work for, the Black Women's Health Imperative.
So how did you meet her?
I met her through the organization. I did a video for them, just a Mother's Day campaign video. And as I was doing kind of my research on the organization, I was like, oh, wow. This woman is incredible. And then I'm from Atlanta. The organization was founded 41 years ago on Spelman's campus.
Right.
And so that story, that's what got me. I was like, wait a minute. Now you mean to tell me that in 1983, Billie Avery brought 2,000 women together on Spelman's campus. Now, do you know how hard it is would you today
Yes.
with all the social media?
Yes. That's an
Okay.
impressive number. Yes.
That's an impressive number.
Yes.
So, and when she talks about them coming in buses from as far as California, like it is the most phenomenal story of grassroots advocacy. And I saw on the page, their YouTube page, when I was just doing my little research, I saw these 4 little clips for this documentary she made in like 1987 on becoming a woman.
Mm.
And she got together mothers and daughters to talk about menstruation, puberty, contraception, all the things. And I was blown away. So when I finally got a chance to meet her through working with the organization, I told her straight up, I said, "You're already my Shiro. You're already my mentor. You don't even realize it yet." And she truly has lived up to all of my rose-colored glasses. I mean that. If I text her or call her right now, she's picking up. We're talking about all the things. And that's one of the things that I love so much about the organization, too, is because we deal with women throughout their life health journey, right? So I can talk to a Billie Avery, just like I can talk to one of the Gen Z girls that is in our My Sister's Keeper program.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think that it's that intergenerational conversation that we as a people just quite frankly need to focus more on. Yeah.
Yeah. And if anyone doesn't know of her, they can go onto YouTube
Oh, yes,
and her personality comes through.
it does.
You get a sense of the woman, you get a sense, and she tells her story.
Yes,
Everybody has a story.
yes,
And it's a phenomenal story.
it is. And I think what happened, especially in the 70s, our, Caucasian sisters co-opted the reproductive movement, right? And the feminist movement and all of that. And so we were kind of like, not in the conversation. What's new? And
Mm-hmm.
so when Billy and her cohorts got together, that's when, they say that the founding of the reproductive justice movement, because I had never heard that term. I was like, wait, what's that? But that kind of encompasses all the things. And so yeah, her story is quite the accomplishments. Yeah.
So how did MePeriod come about?
Yeah. So our president, Linda Goler Blount, who's been president for 10 years now, she made a pact with Billy that I didn't even know about. So this is kismet. She made a pact with Billy that one day they would remake the documentary that I saw on the YouTube page.
Wow.
Unbeknownst to me, I come in,
Wow.
I see that on the YouTube page. I go to the development head and I said, "Chris, if we can ever get funding for something like this," I said, "I can't believe it's never been done again." Because I went and Googling on Beyonce's internet and I didn't see anything close to it. And
Yeah.
so I said, I think you could probably find us, some sort of partner or sponsor for this. Chris said, "Say less." And I'm going to tell you, Sharon, I had one meeting, just one, with Procter and Gamble, who greenlit the project
Um,
like it was nothing. And more importantly, said, "You don't have to lead with us. We're not going to control your content."
well, that's
Right?
huge. That's huge.
We own it, lock, stock, and it's ours. So they said, "You want to make your product? We're going to help you make it." And that's it.
Wow.
To me, it's a very big deal because a lot of times
It's
people
huge.
frown
Um,
on those sorts of partnerships. Yeah.
how did it get to be about periods and not, I mean, there are a number of other things that you could have made a video about. How did it become periods?
Well, when you think about a nonprofit like ours and the history of Billy having already done a documentary that inspired me because she had already sat mothers and daughters down talking about periods in the 80s. But what I saw for our unique opportunity today was to make it kind of this trifecta. So we create this piece of content, but it has a policy component to it. And we are entrenched in policy at our organization. So, and there's still the pink tax in many states in this country. And if you don't know what the pink tax is, it's considered a luxury tax on our period products.
Mm.
What? A luxury
Mm-hmm.
is what
Mm-hmm.
is what they're calling our periods.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, and most importantly right now, is that there are many states who are trying to mandate that you can't even talk about menstruation until the 6th grade, when all of the research is showing us that children, the average age keeps going down, and children are getting their periods as young as 9 and 8. And especially, and they haven't figured out exactly why, Black menstruators.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the policy components there, the content is there. And third would be our programs. We have a My Sister's Keeper program that is a reproductive justice, advocacy arm for HBCUs. So this is something that our My Sister's Keeper program, through our Positive Period initiative, can take to city by city. We've screened it at Tuskegee. We've screened it at Talladega College. You see, so to me, it's a slam dunk for what an organization of our size, and means that the effect we can make. Yeah.
So I've seen the trailer, and you came out with some heavy hitters.
We did.
You have Tabitha Brown and
Yes.
her daughter.
Yes.
You also have Shirley Ralph
Yes.
and her daughter.
Yes.
And they're speaking about this taboo topic. That's huge. That's
It is.
huge.
And Sharon, think about this. I wanted them so bad for two reasons. One, America trusts both of those women.
Mm.
They're very
Mm.
authentic, right?
That's interesting.
And two, because I wanted people to understand the universality of our experiences, right? So it doesn't matter if you're Tabitha Brown, it doesn't matter if you're Shirley Ralph. We've all had some real universal experiences with regards to our health throughout our whole health span, because Tabitha goes on to talk about her debilitating um, time with uterine fibroids and, what that was like for her. And so I think, yes, having their voices, and they are amazing. I couldn't believe Tabitha Brown posted the trailer the other day, and it was like Christmas in terms of the engagement and everybody chiming in saying, we want to see this,
So it's interesting. As an OBGYN, sometimes mother would bring their daughters into the office to be examined.
here we go.
And it's very interesting because it was right around the time when she was starting her period, and
Mhm.
often things weren't going well, painful periods, irregular periods. And the question was eventually, do we put her on birth control?
That's right.
And so it's an interesting time for both mom and daughter,
Yes. Yes.
because if they haven't talked, if they haven't talked, mom doesn't know whether or not she wants to put her on birth control pills. She doesn't know if that's going to give her permission to do something that she doesn't want her to do. Um, it's an interesting, dynamic, because if the mom and the daughter haven't talked, it's an awkward encounter. It's a very awkward encounter. But as a mom, because I do have two daughters, I
Okay.
know that it's an interesting conversation because you're looking at your baby and you're understanding that she's becoming a sexual being.
Yes. Yep.
And you have to figure out how do
How
I
to
do that?
navigate
How do
that.
we maneuver through this? And as the child, there's just a lot of fear,
Ah,
fear of
fear.
the unknown. I don't know what's happening to my body. In fact, the two trailers that you showed, both with Cheryl and Tabitha, they called their daddies. And I said, that's interesting.
It is.
That's interesting. So I say all that to say, I want to see more than the trailer. And
Yeah, okay.
I
Okay.
think everyone should see more than the trailer. I think you can go on YouTube anywhere and see the trailer,
Yes.
but hopefully it leads to discussion,
Yeah. Yes.
you
It
know.
is another component of it is that we knew we wanted to create a bigger impact. So if you go to MePeriod.info, we have that conversation guide for parents and caregivers.
That's huge. That's huge.
And we went in, that's it, we went in depth. Dr. Chambers, who's in the film, who is called the Period Doctor on Instagram, she is so amazing at her kind of her delivery of all of the information, but the sensitivity to what you just talked about is that many times she shared how parents come in and they literally say, I'm coming in to check and see if my daughter's sexually active.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yep.
And she says she makes sure that she keeps both of them. She pulls the daughter back in the room because the mother tries to say it without her first. And she pulls them in the room and she says, there is no way that I can tell if your daughter is sexually active definitively with any test that I will do. And so she talks about, she shared so many of
Yeah.
those
It's
stories.
it's an interesting dynamic. In my experience, I would separate the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say at some point to the young girl, what you tell me is confidential.
Right.
Now, I may suggest that you share this with your mom, but what you say to me
Yes.
is between the two of us. And then you ask the question again.
Yep. That's right.
And the answer is not always the
The
same,
same.
you which is an interesting dynamic because daughters don't want to disappoint their
And
moms.
of course not.
Um, Daughters are afraid to talk to their moms. They're afraid of the reaction.
Yes.
So it's just, but there needs to be a conversation because
Yeah.
if moms don't talk to the daughters, where will they get the information? Where
Well,
will they get the information?
and we know where they're getting it these days. We didn't have social media when we were growing up. So they're
Oh,
getting it on TikTok
that's
and
a
all the
terrible
places.
place. Yeah,
That's a
because
terrible place.
you don't know if it's true.
That's right.
What is true? True is relative to my experience.
Yes.
So I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. I think the conversations, the education is needed because it's like an onion. There's many layers to this
So
thing.
many lanes.
Because I don't know if you've seen recent reports, but tampons are the most frequently used personal hygiene product.
Right.
But they're discovering chemicals and metals and all these toxic things that are within the tampon, and we're putting it into our vaginas.
Right.
And
Yes.
what does that mean?
Right.
One time may not be a big difference, but you're talking about a woman who may start her period at 12 not stop until age 50 and is having a period almost on
Monthly.
a monthly basis. That's
Right.
a lot of tampons.
Yeah, it is.
And
And
so,
and
I
and, and
mean,
the research is the research is definitely still out on that. That, by most accounts, it's nominal. Um, but
but it's
what's
a
nominal?
cumulative,
But
right?
what's nominal? And to your point,
Yes.
cumulative. So, um, you
And
know,
should we know? And should they
yeah,
tell us? And what
yeah,
is the responsibility of the
yeah,
manufacturers of this product?
yeah,
It's one thing
yeah,
to tell me and let me make that decision versus not know at all.
yeah.
So, uh, an act was introduced into Congress last year. We need to find out about the safety of these products.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's timely. I'm saying all that
Yeah.
to
I
say
mean, I
that,
think transparency, in all industries, right?
yeah,
There's always room for more transparency. And I'm sure that research, while new, is going to be ongoing and,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
But
So
as long as there are eyes on what's going on, that's to our advantage.
always,
Yeah. So
always.
that's huge. So
Yeah.
speaking of eyes on, how can
Yes.
people see me period?
So right now we're doing kind of, the festivals and things like that. So we are creating an interest for the project, basically. And so we want people to go to meperiod.info. We want them to download the toolkit. We want them to sign up for the newsletter so that we can data means everything, right? So that is one way that we can show, interested distributors, networks, what have you. Hey, this is something that you should take notice of because look at how many people are engaging on this particular project. So that's where we currently are. We will be having some virtual screenings
Oh,
for a few special audiences. I'm excited because we just had a live screening last week in DC. We've got, screenings coming up with sororities, you know what I mean? So people are leaning into this, organizations. And so we are trying to accommodate, in-person screenings and now some virtual screenings as well. So
wonderful.
yes.
Wonderful. So we need to go to the website.
Please go to the website. I just can't stress it enough. MePeriod.info. And there's so many resources there. You can even get a book, The Girl's Guide to Puberty.
Good.
So many resources. Flow It Forward, where you could, track your cycles. Just it's a cornucopia of resources on that site. And it just I think what came out of the documentary and why it was so important for us to stack the deck with the resources is that we ended up seeing that these parents are parenting with so much baggage, Sharon,
Mm.
so much trauma, so much. I mean, we could not have predicted the turn that the documentary took. We couldn't have predicted. It wasn't in my notes, but the issue of assault came up.
Oh,
And so one of the mothers, was basically parenting from the past assault, from when she was her daughter's age. So she's being super overly protective, homeschooling, doing everything to try to avoid this thing happening to her daughter. And so that's one thing that our downloadable for our parents and caregivers talks about is try not to parent from your own trauma.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's the rare woman that doesn't remember the day her period started,
Oh, yeah. It is the rare woman.
which means it's a moment we carry with us,
Yes.
that literally colors our life.
Literally.
Yeah.
And what I feel implicitly is that if we can get it right with our young Black tweens and teens, if we can get it right and make them, Dr. Chambers says it like this. She says, I am the expert in medicine. You are the expert of your body. And when we have a meeting of experts, that's where we can accomplish great things.
Ooh, that's huge. That's huge because too often we are confronted with the racial healthcare disparities in
Yes.
the country. But when you take ownership of your health,
Yes. Yes.
that's the key to
Yes.
turning that thing around.
Yes. So that woman becomes an empowered patient partner from the beginning.
Mhm.
That's
And
what
they
Me
call
Period's
they call
about.
your menstrual cycle a vital sign. That's that
Yes.
that's
We
relatively
advocate for that as well. Yeah.
yeah, relatively new, so
Yeah.
there's your blood pressure and there's
Yep.
your pulse, and sometimes
Yep.
there's your temperature and your height and weight. But your period, when it started, is it regular? Are you bleeding too much? Gives a lot of information.
It does.
So it's important. Wow. Wow.
Thank you, Sharon.
Wow. Wow. I can only say I am thankful to the universe that you freed yourself and now are advocating for Black women's health.
Yes. Yes. This is it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was fun.
Oh, this was.
This was a good conversation. Um,
Yes.
I hope I will definitely go to the website. I will tell. It's sort of like the opening that first weekend when a movie comes out. Everyone
Yes.
needs to rush to. We need the numbers.
We
We
need the
need the
numbers.
numbers. We
Yes.
need the numbers. So we need to tell a woman that tells a woman that tells a
Yes.
woman to go to the website to highlight the importance.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you for having, there's not a lot of quality, I believe, Black health podcasts. So I really
Oh,
appreciate you for being in this space.
thank you. Thank you. I want to be part of the team. Everyone has a role to play.
Yes, they do.
It was a pleasure. It was a
Absolutely.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Maybe in the future we will talk again.
We will.
All right.
You can
Take
guarantee
care.
it. Thank you, Sharon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, that was good.